News 3 WSIL. Here's what's happening right now.
County and city officials discuss their plans to help stop gun violence. Plus, President Biden has signed a series of executive orders in his first week in office. A local political expert weighs in on the growing criticism. And while the state of Illinois is slowly improving daily vaccinations, it is still lagging behind much of the country. News 3 at 10 starts now.
We've got you covered. From WSIL, this is News 3 at 10.
Good evening, I'm Mark Kiesling. Tonight, the Carbondale Interim Police Chief and the Jackson County State's Attorney held a Zoom event to speak about issues surrounding gun violence. Interim Chief Stan Reno and State's Attorney Joe Cervantes spent more than an hour discussing goals and plans for the community. Cervantes began the event talking about the importance of reintegrating people who have made mistakes back into the community as useful citizens. He also spoke about his plans to create a citizen advisory board.
Most of the leaders in our community are not necessarily elected leaders. Most of the leaders are people that are parts of community organizations or maybe just members of community organizations that take part in a number of different events on a regular basis, and they have a lot to offer.
Interim Chief Reno spoke about making the Carbondale Police Department more accessible to the community.
And we've also included a report that shows our annual calls for service, as well as a summary of the complaints and commendations that have come into the police department regarding our officers.
That event was hosted by the Carbondale Public Library and was sponsored by Carbondale United and the Southern Illinois Unity Coalition. Let's get a first check of weather. Jim Razor is with us tonight, and Jim, it is a cold one out there.
It is. Across the region it's cold, but in the places that still have some snow on the ground, it's real cold. We've already got some teens on the board, and we'll likely see a few more before we get to sunrise. Clear skies out there tonight, dry skies. Still a chance we see a little bit of ice on some locations, especially where we've seen some melt today, with temperatures dropping off well below freezing. The live view coming in from Mount Vernon right now still showing a pretty good covering of snow on grassy surfaces, but for the most part roads and parking lots are clear. A lot of sidewalks still have some snow and ice on them. Be aware of that early in the morning. Forecast maps rolling through the overnight, not much showing up. Clear skies are going to be with us, and it will mean some very cold readings. Now the projections for early tomorrow morning showing an 18 in Mount Vernon. It is actually colder than that there right now. We may see temperatures moving up later tonight, and you can see all across southern Illinois looking like temperatures around 20 degrees or so to start the day. It will be considerably warmer off to the south where there is less snow on the ground. By tomorrow afternoon, readings to 40, even some mid 40s in our southern sections should remove most of the snow, and the rain coming in on Saturday will wash whatever's left away. That rain could be on the heavy side, bring some flooding concerns. We'll talk more about that in the forecast, and that's coming up in just a bit.
President Biden signed another series of executive orders today, this time focusing on health care issues. It adds to his record use of such orders within the first week of a presidency. Biden has now signed more than 3 dozen executive orders, many to reverse the actions of the previous administration. News 3 spoke with public policy expert John Jackson, a visiting professor at the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute. He says the growing criticism behind Biden's use of those orders is expected as each new administration comes under scrutiny by the opposing party.
I think he sees a crisis on 2 or 3 fronts. Getting the COVID under control has been his number one objective. The debate comes in, where does the Congress's authority begin and where does the president's authority begin and end? And that particularly can be answered by, does it require a new appropriation?
Jackson adds, as new presidents take office, executive orders are the quickest way to start governing. Moving legislation through Congress takes time. And Jackson says new presidents want to accomplish as much as possible during their first 100 days. The Williamson County Commissioners have unanimously appointed a new circuit clerk. The board approved the nomination of Justin Mays this morning. His appointment comes after the former clerk, Austin Crabb, was arrested last week for DUI. She resigned days later. Mays says serving as circuit clerk is an honor and a privilege. A man wanted for his role in the riot at the U.S. Capitol was arrested Tuesday in Marion. Matthew Capsule of Chicago was identified in TikTok videos by a former neighbor and a friend on Facebook. He was identified from videos showing him fighting with National Guardsmen until he was pepper sprayed. You can find more details on that arrest on our website. We now know the name of the adult who boarded a school bus in West Frankfort yesterday morning. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office says 24-year-old Paige Torres of Freeman Spur was arrested. This comes after Superintendent Matt Donkin says there was an issue at a bus stop in which adults boarded the bus without permission. Torres was arrested for criminal trespass to a motor vehicle, aggravated assault, and disorderly conduct. The city of Vienna is remembering Mayor John Simmons, who died yesterday at his home at the age of 79. Mayor Simmons is known for his commitment to improving his city and supporting its schools and sports programs. He was Vienna's mayor for the last 10 years. Funeral services are scheduled for Monday with visitation on Sunday. We have details about those services on our website, WSILTV.com. More than 26 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have now been administered in the U.S. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says about 1.2 million doses have been distributed since last week. Nearly 22 million people have now received at least one dose of the vaccine. More than 4 million have been fully vaccinated with both doses. Illinois is slowly improving daily vaccinations, but the state is still behind most of the country. The state began to administer vaccinations in December. As of yesterday, roughly 830,000 vaccines have been administered. FEMA is providing an additional $43 million to help the state get more vaccines. However, Walgreens and CVS are in charge of getting vaccines to patients in long-term care facilities. Governor Pritzker says both companies need to work on improving distribution.
And they're working hard to complete that. They've agreed that they will complete the first round of assisted living sites by February 15th, so about 2 weeks from now.
The governor says 90% of the deaths in long-term care facilities took place in skilled nursing centers. He says getting the first round of vaccines to those centers will show things are improving. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear announced the opening of 4 regional COVID-19 vaccination sites. The state continues to ramp up efforts while awaiting increased vaccine supplies. One site opening next week is at the Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington. The other regional sites are opening in partnership with 2 hospitals in Paducah and 1 in Danville. A Missouri health official says the state's poor ranking in getting residents a first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine is due to confusion during the presidential transition. Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows the Show Me state has ranked last among the states in the percentage of residents getting that first dose. But officials say the state moved up 1 notch today, slightly ahead of Idaho. Kentucky reports 2,900 new cases of COVID-19 today and 69 deaths. Currently, the state's 7-day positivity rate stands at just over 9%. This comes after the state recorded its lowest 1-day total of cases in a month yesterday. Governor Beshear says the decrease in cases is a good sign for the state. The state of Illinois is seeing fairly steady numbers for new cases of COVID-19 with 4,100 today, but deaths remain high with 103 today. As of last night, 2,800 patients were in hospitals with COVID-19. Of those, 567 were in ICU with 292 on ventilators. The state's 7-day positivity rate currently stands at 5.5%. Southern 7 Head Start has temporarily closed its Vienna Head Start Early Learning Center after a confirmed case of COVID-19. Officials say the center will be closed starting tomorrow and will stay closed until February 16th. During that time, students will be learning remotely. In-person classes will resume, as I said, on February 16th. It is tax season, and before you file your return, there are some things to remember. The IRS says the safest way to file is electronically, and the easiest way to receive your refund is by direct deposit. And remember to add up all those charitable donations from the last year. The first day to file your taxes in Illinois and federally is February 12th. Hamilton County junior senior high schools moved one step closer to providing their students with a STEM lab thanks to a donation. They were awarded a $5,000 grant from State Farm. That grant will help the school buy necessary STEM kits, technology, tools, and other materials to successfully assemble and use the STEM lab. Food insecurity is a problem that has been made worse by the pandemic. Residents in Pinckneyville got some much needed help today. People lined the block this morning at the Least of the Brethren food pantry to receive a mix of fresh and non-perishable food items. The pantry joined forces with the St. Louis Area Food Bank. Claire Schrader with the food bank says food insecurity is up big time amid the pandemic.
We've seen a huge influx of need, especially when it comes to food assistance. We've been giving out more pounds of food and doing more food fairs. So a food fair today we're giving out, I think George said about 18,000, and these food fairs can be between 18,000 and 25,000 pounds of food.
People had to claim vouchers ahead of time for today's food fair, but there are more opportunities available if you need help. Tomorrow morning at 9, the Love and Truth Church in Craneville, Illinois, will be distributing food. Legendary actress Cicely Tyson has died. Her career spanned more than 4 decades. She is probably best remembered for the 1974 TV miniseries, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Revolutionary aging makeup helped her portray the character from early adulthood into her final years, passing the age of 100. That role earned Tyson Emmy Awards for Best Actress in a Drama and Actress of the Year. Tyson was 96. Coming up, the sunshine melted some of the snow away today. Will it refreeze overnight? Jim's in with our full forecast in just a few minutes. You're watching News 3 at 10.